Have you ever felt like someone was having a bad day and was taking it out on you? Maybe you were just minding your business and someone bumps into you on the sidewalk, starts cussing and being mean to you. Who's in the wrong there? Seemingly that person. But maybe if you saw the movie that is his or her life, you would see that you are the straw that broke the camel's back, and his or her reaction is completely understandable. What about bumping into a hostile environment where tensions were high and you happen to stumble upon that scene? You quickly just back up, trying to keep yourself out of that impending, potentially voracious violence. We've all been there, unless you haven't. In which case, God bless you, and I hope you never do. What I'm getting at is that everyone is dealing with their own realities and lives. We're put upon this plane of existence for a short amount of time, and there are endless feuds and battles that have taken place here over thousands of years. There are incredible acts of kindness that have taken place here in that same time frame, in all areas of the globe as well. This place and time is charged with the remnant energies of the past, but we can't see all that with our limitations. Now imagine that same concept with karmic energy per person. They may have bullied people when they were younger and never apologized for it. They may have really hurt people and continue to do so. The universe seems to keep score on an individual basis, and you, me, we all can feel that. That person may never be conscious of it, but the reality is trying to show them their wrongs by presenting that same situation to them and preventing growth. But how do we know that? And how do we ensure that we are not dealing with negative karma and are being a source of good? We all think we're the good guy, right? It's these deep questions that have made me fall in love with movies, because movies give us a glimpse into the unseen layers of reality. They offer us the chance to walk in someone else's shoes, to see what led a person to become the way they are. A great film doesn't just show you the surface, it peels it back, scene by scene, until you're face to face with the messy, beautiful complexity of being human. That guy who snapped at you on the sidewalk in a movie, you'd see the missed funeral, the final eviction notice, the phone call he didn't answer in time. Suddenly, he's not the villain. He's just another person hurting. And that's the magic of storytelling. It softens the harsh edges of judgment. It invites us to pause before we react, to consider the context we can't see. That doesn't mean excusing toxic behavior, but it does mean understanding that people are shaped by a million invisible moments. That awareness is a kind of compassion, and compassion is the seed of real growth. If karma is real, if energy flows in and out of us based on the intentions we hold and the choices we make, then maybe the stories we tell, the ones we consume, and the ones we live are part of how we balance that karmic scale. Maybe when we sit with those uncomfortable feelings, when we reflect instead of retaliate, we're doing the slow, steady work of clearing old energy, of choosing to be a better character in the movie of our own life. Today, I wish to delve into the morality of good and evil through the stories I feel best represented at a deep and visceral level. Who is good? Who is bad? How do we know? That is what all religious texts try to teach us, and it takes me to No Country for Old Men. There is a moment in No Country for Old Men where Sheriff Bell asks a question that's bigger than the case he's working. What did the old timers do when they faced evil? What would my father have done? He's not talking about police procedure. He's talking about something deeper, about that foundation those men stood on. Because Bell feels like the world has changed into something unrecognizable, something darker than before. But the truth is, people have been saying that for thousands of years, and that's where the film quietly connects with something ancient. Long before drug cartels, before bolt guns and highways, humans have been wrestling with the same darkness, just in different forms. Scripture after scripture tells us this. The Bible, the Bhagavad Gita. These books weren't written by people who lived in simpler times. They were written by people facing moral chaos in their world. The form of evil changes. The principle of facing it does not. In the Bible, the righteous confront wickedness, not because they know they'll win, but because nothing is worse. In the Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna that even when the world feels upside down, even when the battle in front of you looks nothing like the battles your ancestors fought, your duty to stand against evil remains the same. That's Sheriff Bell's dilemma. He feels like the evil he's seeing doesn't play by the rules anymore, that men like Chigurh are something new. But what the film suggests, quietly, almost spiritually, is that this problem isn't new at all. Every generation faces a version of the same darkness. Evil may wear a new mask, but it's still the same test of courage, clarity, and moral conviction that it's always been. Bell thinks he's living in a world his father wouldn't recognize, but the scriptures remind us the world always changes. The principles never do. And that's the tragedy and the comfort of No Country for Old Men. The fight against evil didn't start with us, and it won't end with us either. Nonetheless, in the movie, There is a great evil with no moral quandaries, enacting his sadistic game of chance and a chess match with God. Everyone who met him had no idea what he intended, and all met him kindly, but they did not know he was playing a game. There's no way to know how everyone is doing at all times and how someone can affect everyone. Most importantly, we never really know their intentions. We do not know who is here for good and for evil, at least most of us. There are some clear people in history or in life where we know what they're up to, some historically, but some right here, right now. Hitler is a definite evil that we can all agree on and could all agree on even before the internet and terrible communications. That is incredible. In this movie, it is quite clear this man walking around killing people is wrong. But still, the cop wonders what is the right way of going about it and what is the wrong way. Meanwhile, we have a vigilante who has decided to take the money from stumbling on a scene of previous violence. After noticing a man needs help at the scene, it is not until nighttime that he goes back and tries to help. He is too late. It then sequences into him being chased by those who had returned to the scene as well. This alerts him that someone is chasing him and protects his wife and himself. Long story short, the cop is close on his tail, but is too late to save him, just like he was too late to save that man who needed water. It does seem to signal to God, however, that this evil is out there, and once he crosses the line and kills his wife, he is then attacked out of nowhere through the vessel of God. But other than the acting, there's one thing in Anton's journey that is interesting. When he talks to Woody Harrelson's character, he says, "If the rule you followed brought you to this, of what use was the rule? If bad things happen to you, then why be good or care about goodness? Ask yourself, what is the reason I ascribe to a sense of morality?" It clearly was a shackle in his eyes, and he let that go and was free to be evil. Write down below why you choose to ascribe to one or the other. I won't judge. To me, the answer is in the cop and his own moral dilemma. Even though the cop never catches the bad guy, he learns that even with the clearest signs of evil and battling it, there are still so many questions about how and what to do in its absence. He may have not caught him, but if we don't try, then there would be no vessel through which God could remove evil. The last scene is always so moving to me. I will just let it play out.
How'd you sleep?
I don't know. Had dreams.
Well, you got time for them now. Anything interesting?
There always is to the party concerned.
And Tom, I'll be polite.
All right, then. Two of them both had my father in them. It's peculiar. I'm older now than he ever was by 20 years. So, in a sense, he's the younger man. Anyway, the first one I don't remember too well, but it was about meeting him in town somewhere and he'd give me some money. I think I lost it. The second one, it was like we was both back in the older times. And I was a horseback going through the mountains of a night, going through this pass in the mountains. It was cold and there was snow on the ground. He rode past me and kept on going, never said nothing going by, just rode on past. He had his blanket wrapped around him and his head down. When he rode past, I seen he was carrying fire and a horn, the way people used to do, and I could see the horn from the light inside of it, about the color of the moon. And in the dream, I knew that he was going on ahead. He's fixing to make a fire somewhere out there and all that dark and all that cold. I knew that whenever I got there, he'd be there. Then I woke up.
When there is no clear evil to fight, and we just need to live, to me this monologue signifies that be that source of light to others in the darkness, and the one to lead them to warmth and safety. We all have the power to be that for someone, no matter how small the act may be. It can be as small as a smile to someone going through that tough time, or just to say, "I love you," to someone who may be taking out frustrations onto us. You never know who you can be influencing to do good. This world is only as good as we keep it. You get the choice. Be the evil or be the good. Trust me, the latter fuels and is much better. If you are selfish, it will come back to you as well. There is a story of a man who refuses several rescue attempts in the face of approaching floodwaters, each time telling the would-be rescuers that God will save him. After turning down the last, he drowns in the flood. After his death, the man meets God and asks why he did not intervene. God responds that he sent all the would-be rescuers to the man's aid on the expectation that he would accept the help. How do you know who is the one there to save you, or at the very least, offer you help? Everyone looks the same on the surface, and often the people who point out our flaws sting us the most. Their feedback cuts, their honesty burns, and our first instinct is to retreat, to get defensive, to assume they're just trying to hurt us. Meanwhile, the people who flatter us, who praise every choice we make, who validate even our darkest impulses, they feel good, they feel safe, but comfort is not the same thing as goodness. That's the central dilemma at the heart of a guide to recognize your saints. The people who save you don't always look like saints, and the people who destroy you don't always look like demons. Ditto grows up surrounded by people who love him in the only way they know how, roughly, imperfectly, chaotically. Some of them drag him down, some of them try to lift him up, and some do both without even knowing it. His neighborhood is filled with wounded boys who are trying to be men, and men who are still wounded boys. The film asks us to consider, who were the saints in your life? Who were the people who tried to guide you out of danger, even when you hated them for it at the time? And who were the people who disguised their envy, their fear, or their selfishness as friendship? Saints don't always shine. Sometimes they yell. Sometimes they push. Sometimes they break your heart because your survival demands it. And demons don't always roar. Sometimes they just stand beside you while you ruin yourself. Contrast this with There Will Be Blood, a film where the line between angels and demons isn't blurred, it's hollowed out. Daniel Plainview is a man who claws his way up from nothing with two weapons, ambition and suspicion. He's relentless, powerful, brilliant, and utterly alone. In his world, no one is an angel because he does not believe angels exist. Everyone is a tool or a threat, and sometimes both. If a guide to recognize your saints shows us the angels and demons around us, There Will Be Blood shows us the angels and demons within us. It is a study of what happens when a man builds an empire out of paranoia, vengeance, and unhealed wounds, and then wonders why he ends up alone in a cathedral of his own making. Daniel Plainview's story begins not with greed, but with injury. In the first minutes of the film, before a single word is spoken, he breaks his leg in that lonely mineshaft. He drags himself up and out of the earth, clutching a handful of silver like a newborn grasping at air. That moment is crucial because it tells us something most people miss. Daniel's obsession with success is born from pain, not ambition. His demon isn't the hunger for wealth, it's the terror of being weak, forgotten, or dependent on anyone else. So what does he do? He builds a life where he never has to rely on another soul. Every person is either a tool, a threat, or a wall to climb. And yet, like in all tragedies, the angels do appear. HW is Daniel's first angel, not because he is perfect or because he softens Daniel, but because he offers Daniel the one thing he fears most, a chance to be vulnerable. And Daniel cannot accept it. When HW loses his hearing, Daniel doesn't just lose a son, he loses the only mirror that showed him a gentler version of himself. Their fracture is the moment Daniel chooses his demon over his angel. Instead of healing the boy, he sends him away. Why? Because here is easier than grief. Control is easier than connection. Eli Sunday is the second angel, disguised as a demon. Most viewers see Eli as Daniel's adversary, and he is, but he's also the only person who truly challenges Daniel spiritually. Eli is like sandpaper, abrasive, irritating, but capable of shaping something if the other person allows it. Instead, Daniel treats every challenge as an attack. Eli exposes Daniel's pride, and Daniel responds by grinding him deeper into humiliation. There's that incredible baptism scene. Daniel kneels and Eli slaps him, demanding he confess his sins. And Daniel does confess. He says, "I've abandoned my boy." He says it with a smile, but not a fake smile, an aching smile, the kind that comes from saying a truth you've never wanted to face out loud. That moment is an opening, a crack in the armor, a chance for redemption, and he lets it close. By the time we reach the bowling alley, one of the greatest final scenes ever filmed, Daniel has killed every angel he's met, not physically, but spiritually. He divorces humanity. He marries his own rage. When Eli returns, begging for approval, Daniel crushes him, not for power, not for money, but because seeing Eli reminds him of the man he could have been and refused to become. A man becomes a demon the moment he believes he has no angels left to learn from. Daniel Plainview's tragedy isn't that he became a monster, It's that he was offered mercy, love, and connection again and again, and he rejected all of it. His demons didn't destroy him. His refusal to recognize his angels did. And here's the painful truth these films share. We don't always recognize the people who are meant to guide us until it's too late. We don't always see when we've become the villain in our own story. We don't always know whether the voice whispering in our ear is saving us or sinking us. The flood story, the man ignoring every rescuer because he expected God to look different, is exactly the point. Help rarely arrives the way we imagine it. Sometimes it looks like a father yelling at you to stay out of trouble. Sometimes it looks like a friend cutting ties because they can't watch you self-destruct. Sometimes it looks like a preacher trying to manipulate you. Sometimes it looks like a business partner exposing your flaws. And sometimes it looks like silence, an invitation to choose differently. Your angels might not be gentle, and your demons might not be monstrous. That's why discernment is moral work, why self-reflection matters, and why these two films together create a powerful meditation on the people who shape our path, those who push us towards the light, and those who pull us into darkness. Pulp Fiction is morally brilliant because it refuses to tell you how to feel. Tarantino doesn't do halos and horns. He doesn't do heroes and villains. He does choices and the fallout of those choices. If No Country for Old Men shows us pure evil and There Will Be Blood shows internal corruption, then Pulp Fiction argues that most people aren't bad or good, they're simply human, stumbling through life with half-baked philosophies and questionable instincts. Jules Winfield's spiritual awakening is the film's moral center. Jules is a contract killer. He has committed more murders than he can count, and yet through what he calls a miracle, he begins to change. The bullet-riddled wall scene isn't just cinematic flair. It is the moment Jules realizes that maybe, just maybe, the universe is trying to shake him awake. For the first time, he considers the idea of destiny, of meaning, of the moral weight of his actions. What does he do with that? He chooses to walk away. Not dramatically, not perfectly, not even confidently, but deliberately. Jules' monologue at the diner is the clearest expression of the film's ethics. I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd. He's admitting his flaws. He's acknowledging his past. He is choosing to step toward the light, even if he knows he'll stumble along the way. Vincent Vega is the exact opposite. Same job, same world, same experiences, but no transformation. When Mia overdoses, Vincent's reaction isn't compassion. It's fear of getting in trouble. His instinct isn't moral, it's self-preservation. He survives the miracle Jules witnesses, but he learns nothing from it. That's why his death feels like a cosmic judgment. Not a punishment, but a natural consequence. He is the man who refuses to grow, and the world catches up to him. Butch's storyline adds another layer. Butch is a man who betrays a mob boss, kills a man in a boxing ring, accidentally, but with some intent, and is ready to flee with stolen money. He is not good. And yet, when Marcellus is being tortured, Butch goes back. Think about that. A man he hates, a man who wants him dead, a man he could walk away from forever. Butch returns with a weapon not for profit or revenge, but because some part of him refuses to let another human being be destroyed like that. That's a moral complexity. That's the messy middle of human nature. Even Pumpkin and Honey Bunny embody the film's point. They are petty criminals, but not evil. They are scared, desperate, confused. Jules sees that. He reads their fear like scripture, and instead of punishing them or executing them as he easily could, he offers mercy. He gives them a chance, and in that mercy, they make their own choice. They take the out. They live. So what does Pulp Fiction really say about morality? It says morality is not a label. It's not a category. It's not something you inherit or something you declare. Morality is a decision made moment by moment, and every character in Pulp Fiction is standing at a crossroad. Will you evolve or repeat? Will you protect or exploit? Will you choose fear or compassion? Will you listen when the universe whispers to you? Jules listens. Vincent ignores it. Butch wrestles with it. Mia dances through it. What about you? What will you choose?